Morning, guys. It is Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021, and today is the last day of comp review for your history test, which will be on Thursday. So today we are going to go over some of the multiple choice questions that you all did yesterday, and then primarily you'll be working with analyzing sources that you would normally do for a DBQ. So we don't I do have a quick intro and then you will review answers independently. If you were in school yesterday, so if you were hybrid, you actually already got the key, you already got to review the answers. So for those of you who either weren't in school yesterday or well, I'll get into it in a second. And then we'll have some primary source review. Just to keep in mind, again, it is Women's History Month, and today is actually National World Teen Mental Health Wellness Day. So if you are feeling stressed or under the weather, or maybe you're just feeling great, find a way to keep that up. But again, if you're under the weather, you're feeling stressed, do one thing today that makes you happy. Just do one thing. If it's take an extra 10 minutes for video games, do that. If it's go for a walk outside, do that. If it's read a chapter of a book, do that. But do one thing today that's going to make you relax and be happy, especially in the stressful times that we're in. All right, so some basic info. Hybrid students, your exam is going to be Thursday from 9:15 to 10:55. We talked about this yesterday. If you are not in school, your test is open Thursday. The comp will be 100 points. You have multiple choice, some short answer, such as elaborating on your response to a multiple choice. So if you picked letter A, why did you pick letter A? You know, that type of thing. So supporting your answer. You have analyzing sources, and then all of the following topics that you see will be on your exam. You can review all old materials for today's basic plans. So let me move my face. All right, so if you are hybrid today, this is what you will be doing. If you were not here yesterday or you did not check your answers yesterday, I know in Miss Dawson's group you had to sign off for a key. If you did not get that opportunity, the key is attached to today's Google Classroom as its own document. So please use that to check your answers and fix any mistakes you may have. Ms. Dawson may still even have paper copies of the slides if you want to have a paper copy of them. If you don't, if you have accessibility to a printer, you can always do that. You're going to complete the DBQ source analysis that's actually attached in a Google Doc. We don't usually use Google Docs, we usually use Google Slides, but a Google Doc is better suited for this assignment. You're just going to answer in the colored purple boxes like you normally would in a slide. Relax, you do not have a DBQ essay on the comp. We're just doing the Part A portion of a DBQ, which is analyzing the documents. You don't have to worry about writing an essay. And then Ms. Dawson or Ms. Andriani, depending on the room you're in, will have a key for the DBQ or for the primary source. Sorry, I don't want to confuse you. For the primary source questions, and maybe they'll even let you work in partners. That's completely up to them. I'll leave it up to them. Sometimes these questions are a little bit easier to do when you have two, because two heads are better than one. But you have seen many of these questions before. If you are at home, you're going to use the key attached to the Google Classrooms to check your answers from yesterday's lesson. This should take you at least 5 to 10 minutes. I have returned yesterday's lesson to you on Google Classroom. Your job today is to fix any mistakes and resubmit. If you do this, this will ensure that you will get a 10 out of 10 on the assignment if all your answers are then correct. So please, please, please complete this step, or else it's just going to be marked as missing. And then you will also complete the DBQ source analysis practice in the Google Doc attached. So we're going to go ahead and do at least one together just to get back in the swing of things with our source analysis. So for directions, this is what your, it says untitled, but there we go. Okay. That's what it should look like, and it should have your name on it because every student will have a copy. And it says directions, use the sources to answer the questions that follow in complete sentences. This includes using a capital letter and proper punctuation. Fragments will not be accepted on this assignment or the exam. If a document is hard to see, simply zoom in. And if you're unsure how to zoom in your computer, you just go up to, mine says update, yours probably doesn't. Click where the three dots are, go to zoom, and you can adjust your screen if you're confused with that. Again, all of your short answers on your comp are 2 points, 1 for content and accuracy, meaning the answer is correct, 2 for capital letter and proper punctuation. So if your answer is not in a complete sentence, you will automatically lose a point. You will automatically lose a point if your answer is not in a complete sentence. So please start with a capital and end with a period. You are in 7th grade. That is a 3rd grade skill. You are all capable of doing that. So document A, we see a map here. It says the map shows overland trade routes across Asia. The overall route was known as the Silk Road, and China exported its silk, iron, and bronze. Merchants took these goods west to the Middle East and then to Europe. Gold, glass, ivory, animal hides, sources, and cattle were brought east to China from the Middle East and central China. Now, this question actually a lot of people on the previous quizzes missed because they didn't read the caption correctly. So in this question, I'm asking you what products were brought to China along the Silk Road. So go ahead and take about 3 minutes, examine the map, zoom in if you have to. Also examine the text because and then answer the question in a complete sentence. Go ahead and pause. And Mr. Dawson's gonna make fun of me because I'm going to be wiping my nose again. All right, I'm going to actually zoom in. So I am looking for products were brought to China, not from. So the overall route was known as the Silk Road. Now, a lot of people on the previous quizzes put that items brought to China along the Silk Road were silk, iron, and bronze. This is incorrect. Because if you can see here, it says China exported. When you export something, you send it out of your country or region. You don't bring it in. We want to know what was brought to China or imported. So I'm going to continue to read. Merchants took these goods to the west and middle east. Gold, glass, ivory, animal hides, horses, and cattle were brought east to China. So here I can put, and you only have to list, I would say you don't have to list all of them. So I'm going to say the products, because I need to restate my question, brought to China along the Silk Road were gold, glass, and ivory. And I don't need to write all of them. 3 is sufficient. So you want to make sure you get that in your text box. If you notice, I did start with a capital letter, end with a period, and restate the question. The answer is correct because I went and got it from the correct portion of the text. So this would be a 2 out of 2. Now, if I just wrote gold, glass, and ivory by itself, that would not be a complete answer. So that would only be 1 out of 2 because it was a fragment. It's not a complete sentence, but the content is accurate. Now, if you didn't write in a complete sentence and you wrote silk, iron, and bronze, that would just be a 0 out of 2 and just be completely incorrect. So you want to make sure your content is accurate and you are writing in a complete sentence. And then, what was a positive effect of the Silk Road? So again, using the map and the text, go ahead and pause and answer that question. All right, so if I'm looking at the map first off, we know that the Silk Road started in Chang'an and went all the way here. It says shows to the Middle East, but we know in reality it went all the way to Europe, right? Because here's Turkey and it did go across Turkey over into Europe, but this map doesn't actually show that. But anyways, so a positive effect, we can see or even infer that this was a long distance. So goods are traveling a far distance to new places. We can also use in the text, I see right here, it says merchants took these goods west to the Middle East and then to Europe. So we can infer, right? It doesn't directly tell us, the text doesn't directly tell us what the positive effect is, but sorry, my hair is doing whatever it wants to right now. But we can infer that this was a positive effect. So a positive effect of the Silk Road is that, so thinking about if goods are traveling from a far distance, and I'll go back down so don't freak out, from over here to China all the way to Europe, what is happening to these people in these places? What are they getting exposed to? Right, they're getting exposed to things that they didn't have exposure to before, they didn't have access to. So a positive effect of the Silk Road is that people in different regions, let's not do that. Let's say a positive effect is that people in Europe, the Middle East, and China, or in Asia, let's say Asia, because, well, no, and China were introduced to new goods and materials. So again, my content is accurate. I can prove that. I can even quote it if I wanted to. I'm starting with a capital letter and ending with a period, so this would result in a 2 out of 2 on the question. If I just wrote new goods and materials were introduced, that would be a fragment, that would be a 1 out of 2, and if I just was way out in the middle of nowhere, that would be a 0 out of 2. So these two questions, if you are ever curious, these are exemplar or at least accurate 2 out of 2 point questions, or 2 out of 2 scoring questions on the assignment and on your comp. So moving on from that, you are going to complete the following documents on your own. Do not get confused after this document. It does go further. Again, if you need to zoom in, feel free to use that zoom button in the upper right-hand corner. And make sure you are answering in complete sentences. And please, please, please do not forget to submit. This is a grade. This is your final 10 out of 10 homework grade or practice grade for the trimester. So don't slack on the last one. And I will not see you tomorrow, and I will not see you until next trimester. So have a good couple days off. Good luck on your comps. Study. You have every multiple choice question to the test, and you have your practice source analysis questions as well. Again, if you need to have, or if you do have access to a printer, I suggest printing them out so that way you have some sort of copy of notes to access this, because you will not be able to go onto Google Classroom during your comp. All right, I will see you all next trimester.